Hello. Cheers. My name is Kevin Ray Lavallo, and welcome to episode 19 of I Ask No One. Cheers. Happy birthday to Rachel Weber, my friend, Ashlyn's very good work friend, work wife. She turned 25 today, so cheers. And cheers to, well, right up to the sky for Riley Gale of a band called Power Trip, passed away. And at age 35, he was 34 or 35, but RIP, man. I know I bring up a lot of rest in peace in this show, but it's not so much of a downer to me, really. It's just, we're celebrating, we're paying our respects. So to me, I like to kind of talk a little bit about that. Today in music, though. Today is August the 29th. So August the 29th, Michael Jackson passed away. I'm so sorry. I totally slayed that. Michael Jackson would have been 62 today. Michael Jackson, man. I remember my mom, she would play the Thriller record all the time, driving around town. And my late great buddy, Michael J. Holden, I always associated with Michael Jackson, and just hee and everything. Chris Tucker acknowledging Michael Jackson in the Rush Hour movies. And I think there was a MTV VMA back in the day that Britney Spears and Michael Jackson were performing. And in the beginning, there was like an awkward moment of them like hugging each other or not hugging each other. You could just tell in her eyes of how weirded out she was of him. In his latter years, it was a bit loopy, but greatest performer of all time, in my opinion. Quote of the day. Today's quote is from Bruce Lee. I really look up to Bruce Lee. Philosophy major, he was. And he passed away at age 32. My favorite number is 32. I was born on March 2nd. My second favorite movie of all time is Enter the Dragon. But he once said, "Freedom discovers you the moment you lose concern over what impression you are making or about to make." And that is basically why I started this show back when in May. Something that I needed to do for myself. So it is definitely one of my go-to quotes, and I thought I'd share that with you today. I'm also in the real estate business. It's been very, very busy. I've never been busier in my life, so thank you for joining. I know we're starting a little bit earlier today. This is the very first time that I'm talking to myself in this show. I'm live, but I'm live with myself, and this will be a little bit later because me and Ashlyn, we have a massage at 11:30, a 90-minute massage, and long overdue. We're going to really enjoy that. But going back to Bruce Lee and real estate, one of my clients right now is a man named Ivan Lee. Ivan Lee, last name L.I. It's kind of funny. I showed him a home earlier this year, and he popped up again on the radar recently, and I've showed him now, probably about 15, 17 homes or so. And it's crazy-ass market out there. And Ivan Lee, he's from Hong Kong. And when he mentioned Hong Kong, with clients, I kind of like to see, I want to get a similarity between me and them, a little rapport. That's what I used to do at the restaurant, too. Not too much. I don't want to take up too much of their time, right? But with Hong Kong, first person that comes to mind is Bruce Lee, and I mentioned that to him. I mentioned about Enter the Dragon, my favorite movie, our second favorite movie, and he laughed and he asked me. I wasn't even born then, it came out in 1973. I'm like, yeah, man, my parents were teenagers back then, and he said Ivan told me that he actually spoke with Bruce Lee on the phone. They went to the same high school. And Ivan was 10 years his junior. So Bruce Lee had 10 years on him. and they went to the same high school. And Ivan used to raise funds for his high school. I don't know the name of the high school. I should find that out for you. And he was in fundraisers and whatnot. So when Bruce Lee was pretty big in the business, Ivan contacted him. And the one year that there was a fundraiser at the school, Ivan was in Canada visiting some family. Bruce Lee, that was the one that they missed. So they've spoken with on the phone, but Bruce Lee was in Hong Kong for one of these fundraisers at his high school, whereas Ivan was over in Canada. So they were never able to physically meet. But I like branching kind of things that I love, people that I love, like how I could connect to their past, present. Bruce Lee, I love the movies. I love the philosophy. I love his quotes. But I never really, obviously I never met him, but I was like, where's a connection? So now I could say I know someone who knew someone, and that's with Bruce Lee. So very, very cool with that. Probably wondering why I have a backwards hat on and sunglasses, but today's subject is Avenged Sevenfold and Disturbed. They played Darien Lake, the Darien Lake Amphitheater in Darien Center, New York. And this is M Shadow's look. This is my M Shadow's look. Wow. Black tank, sunglasses, hat. Love the guy. Love him a lot. I think he's one of the coolest rockers. I think Avenged Sevenfold is just a really fun band to listen to. I'd say Nightmare and on. But today's subject, the night that I learned about Avenged Sevenfold, man. Last week, Saturday, I interviewed my cousin Brian on his apple orchard. Check it out. It was really fun. I had chicken, sprinkles the chicken. Brian and Caitlin, thank you for having me and Ashlyn and my family. It's great. Our family. Avenged Sevenfold, man. So I remember driving. It was a really rainy night, just post-college. I graduated from Flagler College in April of 2010. So it was a few months later, the lead up to Avenged Sevenfold's record, Nightmare. A song called Nightmare came on the radio, 103 Through the Edge, when they used to play rock music. And when I heard the riff, I thought immediately of Metallica's Ride the Lightning. And it's not too often where I hear a song and I just think to myself, this is so cool. I cannot wait to listen to this song again and again and again. And it's really rare that I feel that way about a song. I usually have to warm up to it. Like I heard Deftones' latest song that came out, really killer song. But it's not like, God, I got to listen to that again. Nightmare was one of those songs. I was really never into Avenged Sevenfold. I know Metallica took them out in 2006 overseas. Sevenfold, they came out in 1999. They're out of, I believe it was Huntington Beach in Orange County, California. Definitely a big California rock band. But I didn't know much about them. And I hear this Nightmare song. I'm like, who the heck is this? And Sevenfold. And then they announced the tour with Disturbed. Disturbed was also, that summer, released a record called Asylum. They would go on a hiatus for a few years there after that Asylum, because really since 2000 it was tour, release a record, write, release a record, tour, just for years, for 10 years straight. So they had to take a break. So that summer, Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold came out. It was the Uproar tour. It was the Rockstar Uproar tour, and it had Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold, Stone Sour, Hailstorm, and HELLYEAH, featuring the late, great Vinnie Paul, R.I.P. Vinnie Paul, man. I'll take a shot trick with Vinnie Paul. But, last week, it was 10 years ago, man. 10 years ago last week that this show happened. And I've said it before on the show, one of my all-time favorite things to do is to go to a town that I've never been to the night before, the 2 nights before, eat up the town, enjoy it, and then go to the show and leave, Stone Cold Steve also once had a t-shirt, arrive, raise hell, leave. Raising hell in a new town is always a good time. But Darien Lake, I've been there for many, many years. In fact, my very first concert there, and I'm very proud to say, summer '98, Backstreet Boys. But it was me, Steve Wood, McCarthy. I think Ryan was there too. But one of my all-time favorite things to do too is to go to Darien Lake and tailgate it up and go to a show. It's right there on a theme park. We pulled up to one of the side kind of backyards that someone would let us park in, and it was just so much fun slugging back beers and just doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. A lot of funny pictures. My hair was orange. My hair was orange because, like I said, I had graduated from Flagler College a few months prior, and Heath Ledger's Joker was really huge at the time. And at the end of my tenure there, Ryan had pierced his nipple. He pierced his nipple. I wasn't going to pierce my nipple. I wanted to do something I could get away with right now. So I went to dye my hair, totally dye it green. I had hair down to my shoulders, green. I wanted lime green. And it didn't turn green. It turned orange. And that trickled into the summer of 10. So all the way down to the root, I didn't get a buzz cut. It turned like a really dark orange, auburn, whatever. I looked like, if you remember Twisted Metal from the PS1, PS2, I had the hair, like fire. Conan O'Brien orange, craziness. But yeah, we tailgated that up, and we were only interested in seeing Avenged Sevenfold and Disturbed. But I remember going in, and we just saw the ass end of Stone Sour set. In fact, I remember seeing that was the very first time I ever saw Corey Taylor live. I've been in, as I mentioned in episode, I think it was 3 or 4 here at I Ask No One. I was in their All Out Life music video, Slipknots. Stone Sour with Corey Taylor, I just remember him turning around real quick and walking off the stage left. And I was slightly bummed that we missed Stone Sour. Their bassist owns a place right around the corner here called Masuda Chow's, downtown Buffalo. Go check it out. Another guy I definitely plan on having on the show here soon. But Stone Sour left the stage, and then Avenged Sevenfold came on, man. So coming off that Nightmare song and the Nightmare record, that Nightmare record, I swear, start to finish, when I hear it, one of the memories that come back to me is at the time I was in insurance, and I was studying for my CPCU and getting my broker's license. And all I was playing on the way to and from those classes was this Nightmare record, Fiction and God Hates Us All and Buried Alive. One of Shadow's favorite songs to perform is Buried Alive. But with Avenged Sevenfold, we got there. I think we were on the lawn or in the back of the pit there, back of the stands. And they open up with Nightmare, and it starts with those bells, and the music video itself is just incredible, kind of after Enter Sandman, Metallica. Not many people know what Enter Sandman means. Enter Sandman is, there was different lyrics for it, and the producer, Bob Rock, wanted James to switch it up to be more friendly. Enter Sandman was originally going to be about babies dying in childbirth. But now Sandman was really about the members of the band kind of talking about their nightmares. Hence, Sevenfold, big Metallica influence. They're really influenced by Metallica. Here's a song called Nightmare. And the Nightmare music video is really after the kind of the, just the flickering lights and shit of Enter Sandman. So they come out to Nightmare. And as I mentioned last week, this is the coolest way, one of the coolest ways I've ever seen a band enter the stage was, and in these days, with mental health and everything, I just think back, like, what if, I don't think a band would enter the way, I wouldn't think these days that a band would enter the stage like they did in 2010. It was cool at the time. I still say it's very cool, but they had one of their crew members fall from the top of the rafters, and the guy was hung. But he wasn't obviously hung. He had this like apparatus on him, but he was just laying there, he was standing there, like swinging. So this dude's swinging back and forth, just motionless, and they're playing Nightmare. And to me, I don't know, that really, really struck me. I get the chills thinking about it. Like, it was, I've seen Rammstein enter the stage in a really cool way. There's a few other bands too, but this was, I top 2 or 3 times I've ever seen a band go on the stage, and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I have a drum kit here. I don't play it every day. If I was in a band and performing, I think the way a band enters the stage and the whole vibe is really, I think it's really important. You know, you get their attention, and that really stood out to me. This guy just kind of swinging, and they're playing this riff. Dun, dun, dun. You know, it's just nuts. But then they played a song called "Welcome to the Family," and M Shadows, like James Hetfield does at Metallica shows, asked the crowd, you know, who here has never seen Avenged Sevenfold before? And, you know, I raised my hand, and you know, he talked a little bit more, and he says, "This one goes out to you. Welcome to the family." And they played "Welcome to the Family" off the Nightmare record. That always kind of stood out to me as well. I would go on to see Avenged Sevenfold in 2014 in Nürburgring, Germany, Rock am Ring, from the Snake Pit, the VIP pit right in the middle, you know, with the stage around us. I had a moment with Shadows and a few of the bandmates there. And then I would see a Sevenfold again. What was it? 2017 Toronto. The Volbeat, Sevenfold, and Metallica up at the Rogers Center. So Avenged Sevenfold. And if I was to recommend one song for you to check out, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's called Nightmare. So check out the number 2 song. I would say Buried Alive. Buried Alive is really cool. It's got a lot of downs and ups. Kind of reminds me of One. With a ballad, and at the end it just goes, you know. M Shadows, I've had the pleasure of meeting. I saw Metallica at the Fonda Theater in 2016. The week I was leaving LA, I basically had Metallica at the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and then I had Metallica at the Fonda Theater in LA and the Fox Theater in Oakland. Stars aligned, and you just can't make that stuff up. Really, it was really, really special. But at the end of the Fonda Theater invite-only Metallica show, I met him, and this in our family room right now. That's me in my Big 4 shirt, and that's M Shadows. You know, I'll get really into the details in a future episode when I talk about that show. But left the state. I left the pit there, and he was there with some of his friends, just having a drink, chilling, and we talked a little bit. And that's if I was to be a frontman, I wouldn't say I would do this whole thing. I wouldn't do this, you know, but I think his look is badass, but it's just the way he gives it to the audience. You know, everyone's having a good time. He's got some biceps too, even though I'm getting there, man. Gym's just opened up again, so I gotta get back into it. I've lost about 23 pounds since this COVID stuff happened, so gotta get back at it. But he works out, and it's a celebration when he performs live. It's always a good time. And, you know, they're guitarists, they're righties and lefties. So when they duel with each other, they're like Zachy Vengeance and Sinister Gates. You know, they're playing with each other. And their late great drummer, the Rev, James Sullivan, he passed right before the Nightmare record came out. So Mike Portnoy was out there, and he was actually Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater was frisbeeing drumheads at the end of the show. I remember that. And then it was a few months later, actually about a year later, I saw Indio, Big 4, met Metallica backstage. And backstage, I walked right by Mike Portnoy. And that's one of the things I mentioned to him. I was like, hey, last year, Darien Lake, awesome show. He was like, oh, thanks, man. He had a blue goatee. And one of my favorite album artworks, too, was the Nightmare record. Blue's my favorite color. I love it. So that's Sevenfold. And then Disturbed came out, and Disturbed is Disturbed, man. I forget what they opened with, because I would see them the next year with Megadeth, and I mentioned that in my Most American episode on July 4th. Check it out. My most American moment was at that Disturbed show in 2011. But Disturbed came out, and the pyro and the nostalgic music, and me, Matt, Steve, we grew up on that stuff, man. So that was just a really, really good time. I'm gonna get into Disturbed fully. I have a headlining set show for Disturbed that I want to get into at a future time. Amazing night. Really, really fun night. Wasn't able to catch Hailstorm before then. Wasn't able to catch HELLYEAH. But I wanted to share that with you just to really I was thinking about what am I going to talk about this week? It was midweek, and it's like, what am I going to talk about this week? When I think of that show that I just got done talking to you about, I think of summertime. I look back, summer shows. This is one of the few that just really stood out to me. Just tailgating, sun out, best friends, going to a show. I miss it, don't you? I miss going to a show. Back in the day when we used to go to concerts. I wanted to say too, next year they're already canceling stuff. So there's a music exhibit called NAMM. I'm sorry, I forget what it stands for. But it's an exhibit where bands in this industry go to this place in Anaheim at the convention center or the Arrowhead Pond or whatever, and they showcase their signature guitars, drums, whatever that their signature instruments are, right? And it's an invite only. I had some opportunities to go there. Someday I would love to do that, but that's been canceled for 2021. And that happens in February. So people have been asking me about concerts. They know, like, they associate me with concerts and music and stuff like that. But really, like, they're already canceling in 2021 NAMM, then I think concerts going to follow suit. This could be a 2022 thing. So I hope it's not. But wear a mask and stay safe out there, guys. But something else happened this week that I wanted to mention too. Besides Metallica S&M being released, I'll be talking about that next month. S&M 2. Right? The Batman. Got any Batman fans out there? I'm a Batman fan. Christian Bale. I've met him. I met him at the hotel. I'll have to talk to you about that maybe next year when Wolfgang Puck episodes come back. But Batman, from Batman Forever puzzles I would get put together in the 90s on our family dinner table to, the action figures. Not so much the comics. I never got into comics. I would like to get into some comics. So if you have any comics out there, that are really cool to check out, maybe some replicas or whatever, I should, some go-to Batman comics, text me or something, or message me on Instagram. But Batman, I just love The Darkness. My all-time favorite TV show ever, even over Hey Arnold, I got all the episodes, is Batman the Animated Series. So when I logged on to YouTube, I've been very busy in real estate. And again, thank you for joining. This is a little sliver of time that I get to just hang out a little bit with you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in, always. Batman, the trailer came out. So I logged on to YouTube, and I saw recommends under my recommends. It's like 3.4 million views, and it was uploaded like 3 days ago or something like that. But the guy Pattinson, Andrew Pattinson or Dan Pattinson, the guy that was in Twilight, I know him by Cedric Diggory from Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter. Really good character back then. And when he passed away in that movie, Dumbledore described him as one of the adjectives that he described was true. That Cedric Diggory was a true person. The Batman, I think he may pull it off, man. Really cool looking trailer. Holy crap. I'm a Riddler fan. I would go show you my Riddler plush toy from Batman animated series in the late 90s. I got it in the other room. I also got Chucky over there. I haven't forgot about Chucky. Here's another one of my toys that I have sprinkling around here. Snoke. Between Chucky, Snoke, and the Riddler, I'm a villain fan. And Batman, he's kind of dark. He's like got that villain hero kind of thing going on, right? But check out the trailer. Really, really awesome. Next week, I'm going to be talking. Next week, special episode. I Ask No One is now I Ask Someone next week. And that very someone is my sweet, lovely, groovy, kind, respectful, sweet, giving, loving mother. So I'll be in conversation with my mother. We're going to be talking about some pretty funky things, no pun intended there. So a little bit of funk, a little bit of Motown, a little bit of Metallica. Thanks for joining, guys, and I hope you tune in next week as well. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay heavy. When I say stay heavy, stay motherfucking heavy. We'll see you guys. Bye. Yo, in the man.